Yo, it's me, DDP, Diamond Dallas Page, and welcome to the Sarah O'Connell Show. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. Bang!
Welcome to the Sarah O'Connell Show.
Diamond Dallas Page, welcome to the Sarah O'Connell Show. How are you today? You are, of course, a Hall of Famer and a complete legend.
I'm great. You know, like my new book, Positively Unstoppable. that's where I'm at right now. I know this crazy COVID thing is everywhere, all around the world, but you know, it's all going to work out at some point. So I try to keep a positive attitude, err on the side of caution, and just keep taking care of myself and people around me, and everything's good.
Fantastic. Now, I want to go through your entire amazing career that you've had to date and all the stuff you're working on at the moment too. But I want to take you first back to when you were 12 years old. You were hit by a car, and at the time, I guess you thought you'd never be able to do any contact sports or anything like that. When you were a kid growing up, what was your dream job? What did you want to be?
Football. I loved football and hockey at the time, but in my mind, as a little kid, I really thought I was going to play defensive end for the Giants, the New York Giants, or New York Jets, or Dallas Cowboys. Like they were my two local teams. And I was a big Cowboys fan, and when I got hit by that car, it took all that away, because in 1968 there was no. Everybody knows what rehab is today. You get a surgery, you go to rehab. There's no such thing as rehab in 1968. So, when the doctor said, "I will not sign the paperwork so you can play football," I mean, I cried like a baby. I was like really upset. And I got my mom to take me to a guy named Dr. Nicholas, and he actually worked on Willis Reed, who was the center for the New York Knicks, who won the world championship, fixed his knee, and he fixed up quarterback icon Joe Namath's knee. And she brought me in to see him. I was 12, and he didn't know who I was or what I was about. And he basically said, "Listen, you're never going to be Joe Namath or Willis. You're never going to be either one of those guys. Study. That's what you should do." Well, I had ADD and dyslexia at a time. No one even knew what ADD or dyslexia was. So that wasn't even an option for me. It was depressing in the beginning, but then I figured, well, I can play basketball. And boy, I sucked at basketball. What I learned was work ethic equals results, because 7th grade, I didn't make the team. 8th grade, I sat on the bench. I never sat on the bench ever. So that summer, I played 6, 7, 8 hours a day, every day. And I got pretty good. And as time went on, I got better and better and better.
So you had that drive and determination at that young age.
Well, I was used to being one of the best players. Now I'm one of the worst players. And and people told me, man, like you suck. Like you're never going to be any good at this. And I guess I learned at a very early age that there's two things that can happen when people tell you you can't do something. One is you listen to them, and if you say you can or you say you can't, you're right. So if you listen to them, you're right. You're not going to be able to do it. I saw how good I got in basketball, that it would become a staple for everything I did, whether it was working in the bar business, wrestling, or my DDP yoga company. Because everything I ever said I was going to do, people went, "Are you crazy? You're never going to be able to do that." Okay?
Because as you mentioned there, in your early 20s, you did some tryouts for wrestling, but you actually got into the nightclub business. You worked at Norma Jean's dance club. That's correct.
Yes, it was a bunch of clubs. I worked at a bunch of clubs. That one I actually built and owned this small piece of. And that was what happened. Was I started trying to wrestle when I was 23, And I wrestled 3 matches. I was horrible. I really hurt that same knee I hit by the car with on my 3rd match, going over the top rope to the floor, and it put me out. And then I've been in the bar business since I was like 17. Well, now I'm 23, and I had an opportunity to run my first rock and roll place. It was small, but it was fun. And I just got pulled into the booze, the broads, the party, and I just had a really great time, and it was a lot of fun. Still playing basketball all the time, but in leagues, summer leagues and bar leagues. And so I had a lot of fun with it. And then I finally opened up Norma Jean's down in Fort Myers. That was a place I owned a piece of.
Would you say that's where you kind of accidentally even developed your DDP persona, this larger than life character?
Absolutely. That was the beginning. I once heard Tony Robbins say, I created Tony Robbins. And I thought, yeah, I created Dallas Page, because it's a version of me, but it's the best version of me. Like when I was down there in my nightclub, for the first time, and I'd run a bunch of clubs, but I never actually did the commercials in the radio station until then. I wrote everything, and no one could read my writing, because at the age of 30, I was writing and reading at about a 3rd grade level because of ADD and dyslexia. I didn't even know I had it until I was 35. And my first wife, Kimberly, I was reading one time because I was practicing. I made a decision I was going to learn how to read proficiently, and it was really slow in the beginning. But she is like a Mensa, she's like 149 IQ, went to Northwestern, graduated with her master's at 21, like really smart lady. And she was like, honey, you have dyslexia. I'm like, what? What's dyslexia? And once I knew there was a reason, okay, now how do I fix that? And over years of training myself, at some point I ended up at a school called the Eris Learning Center in Culver City, Los Angeles in 2004. I started working with a woman who was 85 years old, and she said she had never had a student take home more homework than I did. I'd see her 2 days a week for about 6 months. Then my schedule got too crazy, but I'd grown so much over that period. So being down there in the club at Norma Jean's, getting up on stage and doing hot legs contests or bikini contests, because it was spring breakdown, or lip sync contests, I became very comfortable on the mic. I'd be in the DJ booth occasionally, and we had great DJs, but occasionally I'd go up to my place and rock and roll, because it was 80s. We're talking about the 80s when the greatest hair band rock and roll was ever done, from Motley Crue to Guns N' Roses to John Bon Jovi. So I get up there and I do that too. And again, like I'd run the contests, I do the commercials. So I got used to doing something in a minute. Something I get all my points across in a minute. And it really helped me down the line in wrestling big time.
And so then you wanted to get into wrestling. So you sent a tape to AWA. Initially you were a manager, and then you ended up in Florida Championship Wrestling, I believe. And that's where you met Dusty Rhodes. What kind of impact did Dusty have on you in your life and your career?
Wow. Let me show you a picture.
Okay.
I've got a bunch of really cool pictures behind me. It's just the life and times. And this is a picture of me and the American Dream. When I went to work with him, I was 30 years old at the time. So that's 34 years ago. And over here, hold on, is a picture of, Cody Rhodes is, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. This is me and Cody at my DDP Yoga Performance Center. And that coat he's wearing, his dad gave me. And embroidered on one side, it said Dusty Rhodes. And on the other side, I embroidered Diamond Dallas Page. And then Cody borrowed the coat, asked me if I could borrow the coat for something he was doing. I'm not sure if it was ROH or Japan Wrestling. I'm not sure. But when he brought the coat back to me, I had interviewed him. This style right here, just interviewed, talking about his career and what he's been doing lately and all that. And the coat was behind us. And he said, I was going to rib you and embroider my name inside the jacket. And I said, but no, I didn't want to do that. And I just started laughing. And I said, my ex-wife and I were talking, and the coat came up. And I said, yeah, I'm going to leave it to Cody when I die. And she was like, when you die, you're not using it really anymore. It's just a momentum for you. You should give it to him now. I thought, yeah, you're right. So we got this really awesome moment where I'm interviewing him. We're talking about the jacket. I tell that story, and I said, she's right. So when you leave today, bro, you're going to take the coat with you. And it took him by surprise. It was pretty cool. So that's why we had the picture with him wearing the coat. So yeah, I've been mentoring him since he was 12 years old. And I think in the beginning, it was because of Dusty. I started, but at some point I became so enthralled with the young man that he was. Like, Cody Rhodes says something, he does it. When he was a sophomore, I was getting ready to go to the WWE to start to wrestle. And we were at Dad's gym, and I was going to get in the ring and move around a little bit because I hadn't been in a couple of months. I said, so, Young Buck. And I always used to call him Young Buck since he was 12 to 20, which is kind of crazy considering, his best friends are the Young Bucks. And, and they brought him into the fold, and together they created something super special. But I said, Young Buck, when are you going to start playing football? When's practice start? And he told me, he said, I'm not going to play this year. I said, what? You're not going to play football? You love football. He's like, yeah, I do. He said, but I don't think I'm really going to make my name doing that. He goes, my junior year, not this year, but my junior year, I'm going to focus on wrestling. And my junior year, I'm going to win the states. I went, whoa, really? He's like, yeah. I said, well, you know what that's going to take, Young Buck? And he said, yeah, a lot of work. I said, yeah, no magic pill for that. He went 48-0 his junior year, won the states. I was living in LA. I flew in for the match and watched him win the states. Now, his senior year, I think it was his 12th match, he lost. And I called him up from LA. Hey, Young Buck, how you doing? I knew what happened, but I wasn't going to say, sorry to hear you lost. I figured I'd let him say it. And he goes, Dallas, I lost. I effing lost. And Sarah, I said, thank God. He's like, what? Why would you say that? I said, Code, you don't learn anything from winning, bro. You learn from losing. You learn from falling down, having to get back up again. That's how you learn.
Right.
Everything that I've ever accomplished in my life came with a number of failures in front of it. That's how you learn. I said, would you rather have met that kid in the quarterfinals, been 44-0, and then he beat you then?
Mm.
You go, wow, I never really thought about it like that. I said, think about it like this. That kid, he thinks he beat you. He thinks he owns you. What'd you learn from this? And he told me. And long story short, I was there at the finals again. He squared off against that kid who was undefeated. And Cody ate him for lunch. So, sometimes you got to really look at your things that look like failures, or bad mistakes, or bad choices. Just a bad choice. I shouldn't have done that. Okay, what'd you learn from that? And a lot of times it can be injury. Like my whole DDPY program, a lot of, most people know it by DDP yoga, but I'm branding it now DDPY. Why? Because I want people to stop calling it just effing yoga, because it's not. I love your yoga. Like, I don't do yoga. I do DDP yoga or DDPY, because you have to understand, people think is yoga. I don't do any of that.
It's a completely different thing.
And then Hulk it up, brother. Yeah, attention. I mean, I've got you having fun.
Exactly.
I just filmed a couple of workouts I'm doing here in my, I'm calling them the basement tapes. Yep. That will be up on my app. It's a new form of DDPY that's all crazy about strength training, muscle building. And I had Rob Steiner's son, the real name isn't Steiner, it's Rick Steiner, and his son's name is Bronson, and he's a thoroughbred. Oh my God, this kid, 231 pounds, 6'1", handsome, just chiseled. He just got drafted by the Baltimore Ravens. Okay. So he's going to be working with me right on up to, he heads out to Baltimore, which is going to be super sweet, because he's going to be trained. He already has the strength and the speed. Like, he runs a 4.32 40, which is like a flash. He's super fast, super strong. Now I'm going to help him work on all those little muscles that'll make him even stronger.
You really have defied the odds and people's expectations your entire life. Even going back to, so you wanted to get into wrestling, and you appeared, people may not know this, at WrestleMania 6 as the chauffeur for Rhythm and Blues, Honky Tonk Man and Greg the Hammer Valentine. It wasn't, of course, till many years later you actually got into the WWE. Then, of course, you start working in WCW. You're a manager again for the Fabulous Freebirds. Then I think age 35, you go to the power plant, and that's when you start training to become a wrestler. How quickly did everything click for you in the ring?
You know, there's two sides of being 35 and a half and starting to be a wrestler. Now, the negative part is you're 35 and a half, so you can't fake gravity. There's no people in that cold gymnasium. You feel every square inch of the mat when you get slammed on it or dropped on it or knocked out. The positive side was I was 35 and a half. I was way smarter than I would have been if I was 23. Because then I would have been doing all the crazy stuff. I did a lot of crazy stuff, but nothing compared to what they do today. I mean, these kids, what they do is just mind-blowing to me. Yeah. Kid Darby Allin, I just did a video of him because he works out with me all the time. And Darby Allin is one of the greatest risk takers I've ever seen, and the people love him. But he takes his wild and crazy moves that he does just as serious. He takes the rehab. Like, he does my stuff 6 days a week. One of the reasons why he can still do what he does. Jericho's the same way. AJ Styles the same way. Drew McIntyre, same way. These guys, Tommaso Ciampa, all these guys are doing my program to help hold back the injuries, the hands of time. You know.
And it's working, and you keep getting these results as well, which is amazing.
Yeah, and you know, for me starting, I'm the first person to ever ice their body in professional wrestling. Right. I would have ice packs on my knees. I'd have ice pack on my back. By the end of it, I'd have one on each shoulder pad. And that's how, you know, I'd walk out with 5 ice packs. And people used to say, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm like, taking down the inflammation. Like today, a lot of them get it. Not all of them. Like CM Punk got it. He was covered with ice. And people would call him DDP, like kind of just ribbing him. It's like, how is that a rib? It's like, yeah, look at what that guy did with his career. Yeah. Like, my career doesn't take off until I'm almost 41.
Mm.
So 41, when 40, it started to really take off. But at 41, man, I exploded. And for 5 years, I was on top of the world.
Yeah.
And over that period, I blew my back out and came back and kept going. But starting it, become a manager, like people never thought that would happen. And then I did it. And then Michael P.S. Hayes and Jimmy Jam Garvin, who are the fabulous Freebirds. There was also two other guys, Buddy and Terry Gordy. They both had passed, but when they went into the Hall of Fame. But Michael, I was managing Michael P.S. Hayes and Jimmy Jam Garvin. I just heard from Magnum TA, that they weren't going to let me manage anymore because of, let me see if I get a picture of it, because of the hair, the bling, the diamonds, the diamond dolls, the rap, the energy, the charisma. And so they said I was taking attention away from the boys. And I said, Magnum, are you saying I'm too over the top for professional wrestling? And he's like, D, it ain't your fault, bro. You know, what we should have done with you, I don't care how old you were when you started this, what we should have done was giving you a pair of tights and boots and see if you could do this. And then he kind of like, yeah, but you know, that's too late for that. That night, I made my decision. I went to the curtain and I looked at Michael and Jimmy and I said, they're not going to let me manage you guys anymore. He said, yeah, we heard, man. Sorry. I said, I got 7 months left of my contract. I'm going down to power plant. I'm going to learn how to wrestle. Michael, I'm not kidding you, Sarah, fell down on the ground. He was laughing so hard. He thought it was the most preposterous thing he'd ever heard. Jimmy laughed too, but not like Michael did. You know, people laughed at me when I told them I was going to run nightclubs. I ran nightclubs. I was going to get professional wrestling. Oh, God, they laughed at me. I got into professional wrestling. I'm going to be a wrestler. Oh, my, then they fell down laughing. I'm going to be a top guy. I'm going to be a world champion. I'm going to be a Hall of Famer. No one believed it. No one believed that DDPY would become a household name. They wouldn't believe it, but it is. Like,
It really is, yeah.
It's crazy right now. Like, our numbers are through the roof.
I bet.
Because all of a sudden, I would say the gym industry has changed.
Mm.
You know, Peloton with their spinning at home. Why do they need to go to a place where they got anytime, anywhere if they're a Peloton person? All the P90X stuff that's online right now, but there's nothing like the DDPY program because we're not just a workout. And I've had so many people say to me, God, I want to try it so much, but I'm afraid you'll kill me. In other words, I'll beat them up in the workout.
Yeah.
That is not my focus. My focus is to meet you where you are. DDPY meets you where you are. Do I have psycho extreme workouts? Absolutely. But my first workout on my app, it's called Bed Flex. You can't get out of bed? I got 3 workouts for you in bed. And I would have thought it would be just for people who are really big, really immobile, old and immobile. That was the network I thought it was for.
Right.
And then I started to realize, wait a minute, there's 30-year-old men and women who have become immobile because of injury. They're 30. They're not 65.
Exactly.
Like, oh, wow, that really helps them. And then I was training the guys at NXT in Orlando, and Bobby Fish, who's with the Undisputed. This is about a year and a half ago.
Right.
And he came up to me and he said, man, thank you so much. Because I give the app to all entertainers, all the boys. all the NFL alumni. We have a partnership with the NFL alumni. I take care of all that. If you're a veteran, it's always 50% off. Not one day a year, 365 days a year, 50% off for veterans. And Bobby is a top shelf. If you're in WWE and you're a main performer like Bobby is, you're as elite as it gets. He grabbed me and pulled me over and said, "Thank you so much for giving me the program, bro. I can't tell you how much it's helped me since I had my ACL tear." I was like, "Oh man, I didn't even know that." I said, "I can see you hobbling around a little bit." He goes, "Yeah, I'm almost back, man." He's like, "I started with your bed flex workouts."
Oh, wow.
Because I couldn't move around. And I'm thinking, really? He's like, "Yeah, man, they helped me so much." And then I went to your chair force where you're sitting in a chair doing the workout. Then I went to Stand Strong where you're holding on to a chair to help you build your stability back, your mobility, your strength. And it gave me such confidence. He goes, "Now I'm using a block. I'm not even using a chair anymore." And I was like, wow. So world-class athletes can use this coming back from injury. Like the home I'm living in right now, I call it, the old place was the crib, that Jake and Scott and I lived in. This is the recovery crib. This place, it's like a wellness center. I've got a hyperbaric chamber. That's the highest end you can have. Infrared sauna, steam room, hot tub, cryo machine, beamer pad, and the thing where you tier board where you hang upside down. And my girlfriend she's an adventure athlete. She's one of those people who will put a backpack on that weighs 40 pounds and then run 170 miles in 6 days. Like, she's that athlete.
Right.
And she just found us. She just got one of the yoga. It's like the yoga trapeze, and you can get in it. It's like a hammock type of thing, but it's got these different cords and stuff. And I'm gonna, she's gonna be the one who'll make up workouts around it. But it's not really workouts. It's more for opening your hips and your lower back and all that. Really amazing. I used it the other day because I'd hurt my back doing something. I can't remember what it was. I think I slipped going down the stairs, and it was still jammed up. But I got in that thing, and I've hung upside down and all that, did my workout and felt better, but it wasn't right. But I got in that thing and went upside down, and I was like, wow, that really opens up my lower back. So these are all the different types of workouts we're always working on for the DDPY program. So there's just so many different things to do. It's not the same old thing every day.
So it sounds like I'm also, when the quarantine's lifted and all that kind of stuff, I'm going to have to come and visit your house because I have none of that. Haven't even got a cryo chamber.
It's all about holding back the hands of time. And the main reason I got all those things were for myself, to help me hold back the hands of time.
Right.
But it was also to show all these high-end athletes like Drew McIntyre, Tommaso Ciampa, guys who really are about the fitness of staying ahead of it so they don't get injured. Like, that's the smartest athlete out there. The guy who's eating real food, training right, not over, putting any more compression on his body or her body than they have to. Because what they do in AEW and ROH and WWE, the impact these kids put on their bodies today is mind-boggling.
It's not just at pay-per-views or, the biggest events of the year. They're doing this every single week. So they really do need to do what they can to prolong their career as much as possible and just reduce injuries. So their later life, they're comfortable and they can do other stuff as well.
100%. Hold on one second, Sarah. I just want to get a little bit of water. This is my new favorite picture. Did you get to see anything that I did with AEW when I did the match?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I watched all of that.
Okay, so this is my new favorite picture, And this absolutely, getting ready to go off the top rope,
Yeah.
the guy's down on the floor.
Six-man tag team match.
If at 4 months from 64, if that doesn't prove that DDPY is everything I say it is, then I ain't got nothing else to say to you.
Did you feel okay after you did that? Because I guess, as they say, anyone can fall, but it's about if you can get back up again. Did you feel okay after doing that move?
I'll tell you, I didn't realize it, but if you watch it in slow-mo,
yeah,
you'll see my head bounce off the pavement. But I was so jacked I didn't tear my ACL or break my neck.
Wow.
It was an awesome moment. Now, did I feel sore in the back afterwards? Hell yeah. But I just iced my body. My girl gave me a rub down when we got back to the hotel, and I was good to go. I was very fortunate. You know, in my new book, Positively Unstoppable, The Art of Owning It, that's the title. For me, it became like, I wouldn't call it a Bible, but my Bible, like how I've done everything and how all the, like the disabled veteran Arthur Borman, the guy who lost 140 pounds in 10 months, more importantly, lost the knee braces, back braces, and canes, not just to walk, but run. How did he do that? How did Stacey Morris lose 180 pounds and become so much stronger than she ever thought it was possible at 50? So it's like their stories too. And just how, the art of owning it is whatever you want it to be.
Right.
And for me, it's always been like, what's my next challenge? Like, I've been working on these new, I call it DDPY Jacked. And there's these new straps I'm going to be wearing in videos. I'm in my last phase of the prototype. There's a reason why, like my arms are so, like that's like a rock. You can see that.
I can, yeah.
64-year-old men don't have arms like this. I'm not lifting weights. I'm using the dynamic resistance that I do in all my workouts, but with these straps, and it's called blood flow resistance training.
Okay.
And I've seen the straps for as little as $35 and as high as $380. Ours are going to be way more in the middle on the less expensive side, because I've figured out a way with a friend of mine named Chet how to make them the most cost effective. But the bands themselves, what they do to your muscle, only way I can explain it to you, simple terms would be, throws your muscle into overdrive. Like when you're training, weight training, you don't really start to grow till all the blood gets in that muscle, and it's those last couple of reps. Well, this pretty much does that instantly. And you see your arms swell. It's not just your arms, your traps, right? It's all muscles in your body. Even they've got them for your lower body as well. But I'm not going to introduce those right away. I'm only going to focus on the upper body. And then later I'll do that once we can get them more cost effective. Because right now it just costs too much. But at least for my liking, I want to try to make it so people can afford it. I really think that I saw an article in Forbes magazine about 2 years ago talking about BFR training, and they really believe that this is going to be the next big thing. And the reason why it's never taken off yet is because there's never been a vehicle. Like if it was for weightlifters don't want to put straps on and jack them up so they can lift less weight.
Sure.
Because when you cut off the blood supply, when you put the tourniquet style wrap on it, you can't lift as heavy. The positive side is your joints aren't in that kind of pain, or you're not hurting your joints. For me, I don't use even any weight at all. It's just little resistance, time under tension. So it's impossible to get hurt. It has taken my strength to a different level. Like I have never been able to do more than 9-10 second push-ups for the first 62 years of my life. And then I got to 10. I did it one time. 10-second push-ups. Lower for 10, hold for 10, come up for 10. But I did it one time. I couldn't repeat it.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do more. It was there. But then I started using these straps. And then I got 10. And I waited a couple weeks and I got 10 again. And then on my 64th birthday, I said, today I'm going for 11. And I filmed it. And I got 11 3/4. Right when I was about 4 seconds up, I had to lower a knee to get myself the rest of the way up. But my point is I did it. And I would never have been able to do that. No one gets stronger in their mid-60s.
Right.
But I am.
I love that you're still pushing and challenging yourself, not even just having developed the yogi. You're not going, okay, this is my product and I'm not going to improve any further. You're still continuing to do that, which is amazing.
Yeah, it's grown so much since we started this. God, we were an 8-year overnight success, and we've been crazily successful for the last 8 years. So it's been, 16 years. And I was doing it even before that. It was 20 years, 21 years now, because I started in 99 when they said I was never going to be able to wrestle again.
Yeah.
So it became just, how I knew when I got back in the ring, I knew I was going to need, not just going to do that workout the rest of my life, I was going to need to do this workout the rest of my life.
I must ask you too, where did, when you first started wrestling and you were coming up with your moveset and what you were going to do, of course the finishing move is the most important thing. Where did the diamond cutter first come from?
That actually, one arm and kicking out came from my buddy Johnny Ace, or Johnny Laurinaitis. Johnny people don't know this, but Johnny was a huge wrestling star in Japan. And he gave me that finish, just kicking my legs out. And Steven Regal gave me a move called the cravat. And if I put you in this move, you're not getting out of it. And, maybe Brock Lesnar could get out of it, or Big Show, but, they'd have to be super geeked up, because when I put that on you, you're not getting out of it. And then what really got it over, though, was that out of nowhere, now they, all these RKOs out of nowhere. Well, before there was an RKO out of nowhere, there was the diamond cutter out of nowhere.
It really was. I've just been watching some of your old matches back in WCW, and they literally used to say that as well. So it's kind of nice that that's living on through, a new generation.
Yes, and I love Randy. I think he's great. And I think he helped take that move. He did some of the moves I've never even seen. What's really fascinating to me, they're still coming up with new ways into it, because if you watch some of the guys at AEW, I watch Cody hit the rope, jump back and catch the guy.
Yeah.
Perfect cutter. I was like, damn. To me, it's not a diamond cutter still yet, because nobody's winning with it. Now, RKO, that's a diamond cutter. But he put his own twist on it, and I think Randy is a very special talent. He'll be one of the top Hall of Famers of all time when he finally goes in.
Completely agree. Now, looking back, you've had some incredible matches. You won your first WCW Heavyweight Championship against Hulk Hogan and Sting and Ric Flair, I believe. But
yes,
what would you consider to be your, 3 greatest rivalries or matches that you've had?
That's always going to be the top one, because of what, Ric Flair taking a diamond cutter in the middle. I was 43. What was really cool was WrestleMania and Spring Stampede. That's right. Beat Randy Savage in 97. Came back and beat Flair in 99. At the same time, and Randy was the guest referee. My birthday's April 5th. I inducted Jake into the Hall of Fame in 2014 on my birthday. I mean, my birthday has always been in my business life has been crazily synonymous with what I was doing. My favorite feud, without question, would be Randy,
Yeah.
because it just made my life. It changed my life. And, I'll be forever indebted to him. And I talk about him all the time. One of the things, Thanksgiving that year, in 1997, I was WCW's Wrestler of the Year. I was the hottest guy on the planet besides Stone Cold Steve Austin. And in 97, at Thanksgiving time, I started getting a lot of texts from people, not texts, they were called pagers back then. But they did the same thing. They would write like, maybe 130 characters, and most of it was, man, DDP, happy Thanksgiving. Thank you so much for helping me. I helped so many guys get jobs, help guys live the dream, from Raven to Disco Inferno to Glacier to Mortis to Sandman. I mean, so many guys. Billy Kidman. There's at least 30 guys. And a lot of those guys were thanking me. And I was thinking to myself as I'm reading this, like, who am I thankful to that doesn't know it? Like my parents, my family, Kevin, Scott, Dusty. I mean, all those guys knew I was super thankful. But I'm thinking, who doesn't know? I thought, man, I'll bet you Randy doesn't know. And I just pick up the phone and I called him. And I was glad he didn't pick up, because he had it. He had it there. I left him a message, and I said, "Hey, Randy, listen. I know this is going to sound kind of corny, but I just got to tell you, a lot of the boys are, hitting me with these beepers, texts that they're saying Happy Thanksgiving and thank you so much for what you've done for me." And I'm thinking, man, who am I thankful for? Who I don't think really knows that I'm thankful. And I say, I don't think you really know, bro, how thankful I am to you, because it's not lost on me, bro, that I am not in this position in my life without you reaching down and pulling me up and wanting to take the diamond cutter. I said, it's not lost on me, and I will forever be indebted to you, bro. Have a great Thanksgiving. And I never thought about it again.
Yeah.
Monday came, he wasn't at TV. Didn't register with me. I just left him a message. And Thursday came around, and he was backstage far in the distance. And I had just walked in with my bags. And when he saw me, he went, "Diamond, come here." I'm like, what the hell did I do? So as I'm walking up to him, I go, "Hey, Randy, what's up?" He walked up. He was like power walking to me, like he does when he is in that spot. And I'm going at him, and he grabs me and he pulls me in. And he says, "I got your message. Yeah, I did. And I listened to it. Yeah, I listened to it a couple of times. Yeah, I did. And then I called my dad, and I played it for my dad. And I said, Dad, did any of the boys ever do this for you?" And he said, no. He said he never heard of one of the boys picking up the phone and saying thank you after the run was over. He said, "I just want you to know it meant a lot." And I don't know if he's going to punch me or hug me, but bottom line is, it was a magic moment.
Yeah.
It was a magic moment.
So I think we could probably talk for about 50 interviews. There's so much I want to ask. Genuinely. So one thing, I actually want to thank you for something that I've never had happen. I've interviewed over 150 people on this show, right? And when I invited you onto the show, which of course I wanted to do, you're a Hall of Famer, you're a legend, I've loved your entire career. You first said to me, first of all, I had to go and do 1 week of DDP yoga. And I love that you did that, because I went and did it. And I was also thinking, I'm so thankful you're not a parachute instructor. And so I went and did that, and it was kind of tough the first few times, and like trying to keep my balance in some of the moves where my one hand's out and the other's out here and stuff. But I persevered with it, and it's a lot of fun, and I really do recommend that people do it.
Oh, that's awesome. Now let me ask you, when you went on the app, was it easy for you to find your way around? Because there's a lot of stuff there.
Yeah. No, it really is, because there's a schedule, and you just click on that day's what, you know, the exercise there is to do, and there's days off. If you've got an Apple Watch as well, you can kind of sync up how many calories you're burning and all that kind of stuff, and you can pick and choose the kind of workouts you want to do and say how easy or difficult it was. There's nutritional stuff on there, there's extra videos. I know you've just added the Snake Roberts documentary, which is highly recommended as well. So there's a ton of content on there, and you can also do more than one workout in one day. I did one in the morning, then I went back and did another one in the evening.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm having a lot of fun with it. So thank you for, I guess, putting me through that first.
Well, again, it was just mainly so anyone who's interviewing me, I want them to be able to know what I'm doing. Because, I mean, I've literally got millions in that app. And people are just blown away by it. It's kind of like the workout. It's like, I didn't think it was going to be like this. You know, it's like, this is so much cooler than I thought it was going to be, because they're expecting yoga because it's in the name.
Right.
But DDP yoga or DDPY, you know, is for yoga for people who wouldn't be caught dead doing yoga. And there's plenty of yogis that do it and get it. Like my girlfriend, she's been teaching yoga for 12 years. And she teaches the really challenging stuff like Ashtanga, but she loves the twist that I put on it. And now she's learned how to teach this as well. And to me, it's a lot of fun. Well, listen, where do you actually live? Where are you stationed?
I live in the UK, so I'm in England.
Well, you know, I'm hoping to do a tour there in 2021. So when you hear about it, hit me back so we can do another part of this interview, because when I come around through the UK, it was so much fun. We had huge crowds. Like, I don't think there was under 100 people in a workout. There was as many as 160, you know, and we were in Birmingham and London and Glasgow and Birmingham and Newcastle. I mean, we did like 7 different places to do the workshops in, which is super cool because there's so many people from the UK who do the program.
Yeah,
super
absolutely.
Cool.
And hopefully now there'll be a lot more, so I'm going to have to keep doing the program so I can get in shape for when we do a live session.
That was awesome. Okay, girl, listen, it was great talking to you. Anybody who's watching, ddpy.com or ddpyoga.com, that's where you're going to find the best deal. Military, even if you're from the UK, I hook you up with 50% off. And if you're just trapped in your house and you just want your kids to do something, the kids are free. Like if you go to ddpy.com or ddpyoga.com and put in /kids free, those 3 workouts will pop up there and anybody can do them and have, you know, get their kids dialed in. And everybody's like 6, 7, 8, and 9. Oh, no, sorry, they're 8, 9, 10, and 11, and 12, the kids in those videos. And they have fun.
And so finally, if you got any messages for people watching the Sarah O'Connell Show and your fans around the world?
You know, just right now, it's tough time right now. But you want to really see a tough time, go to Netflix and watch World War II. And it's the colorized version. It's a series. That was a problem. And people like your grandparents, they lived through it. Bombings of the city, place in rubble, like that was a problem.
Right.
That was a big problem. And still, everybody got through it. And they built back and we rebuild. It's one thing we do. We You know, we're very, we're really great at adapting and moving forward and fixing things and making it better. So, I mean, this isn't so bad. You're trapped in your house for a little bit.
Exactly.
Hopefully you don't get COVID. If you do get it, you get through it. You know, so just be smart. Err on the side of caution. Be smart. Don't get pulled into depression. If you got laid off or whatever, they are working with a lot of people. But the bottom line is that maybe this was your time to do something different. You know, what I've always said, you can't thank God for the negative, you know, for all the positive things that happen in your life. You got to thank God for the negative things, because if you can really see past the fog, like when I blew my back out, they said, 3 different spine specialists, they said my career was over. And if I would have kept going with that mental attitude, if I would have listened to what they said, then we wouldn't be talking. Because what happened, from what looked like the worst thing happened to me, I was going to lose this contract, the whole deal, it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me. Because today I have a whole second act, which is really my third act. My first act wasn't wrestling. It was the nightclub business and learning how to be a promoter and to have people have fun in my clubs. My second act's wrestling. My third act is DDPY. And my fourth act is a A-list actor. I've got my own show coming out on Netflix with all the post-production. It's called Gods and Secrets. It's something I've been working on, not just a show for a long time, but it's something that I've been working on, meaning the acting, since '98. So 22 years now. And if this show gets lucky, because it looks really cool, and you never know what's really going to pop, but if it gets lucky and we get the audience I really believe we're going to get, it'll change my life again. And then as an actor, I'll be a 22-year overnight success.
And I absolutely believe that you can do it. I mean, you've been in tons of films already. You're in Ready to Rumble, The Devil's Rejects and stuff like that. And I love how every part of your life has fed into everything else you did. So you did the nightclub business, which taught you promotion. Then you used promotion when you're a wrestler. Then you took what you learned in wrestling and the promotion, and you now apply that to DDP yoga.
So, and that's really what it is. Don't look at all the negative things that are happening in your life. You need to daily focus on the positive stuff as well, because that's the stuff that makes you feel good about you. And if you're feeling depressed, go help somebody. Help anybody. It'll make you feel better. Gotta go, girl. Great talking to you.
Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you next time when you come to the UK. And thank you to everybody watching at home. Be sure to share, subscribe, give this video a big thumbs up, and leave lots of lovely comments. And I'll see you all again soon for another episode of the Sarah O'Connell Show. Bye.